Hello there, people of the internet. I recently put up a poll. Well, I recently put up a poll. By the time this video comes out, it might not be so recent. But I put up a poll a little while ago asking you guys what sort of rifles you wanted to see on the channel coming up. And a lot of you guys said that you wanted to see this right here. This is a Swiss Schmidt-Ruben straight pull rifle. This is chambered in 7.5 Swiss, but it's a different 7.5 Swiss than what most people are used to. Normally, whenever I say 7.5 Swiss, they think of the 7.5x55. This is actually 7.5x53.5. A lot of people will tell you it is a semi-smokeless round, and that is because that is what a lot of people say about it, here in the US. That is actually a common misconception of the cartridge. It is a fully smokeless cartridge. If you don't believe me, because I'm just some schmuck on the internet, people seem to believe bloke on the range a lot more. He went out and got himself some original ammunition for this rifle to see if it was semi-smokeless or not. And it was in fact completely smokeless. I will link his video down in the description below if you want him to prove that, because you don't believe what I have to say. So, looking over this rifle, couple of things about it. There is a safety concern. The regular 7.5 Swiss, like the 7.5x55, you could force that into the chamber and fire that. This rifle right here is not really designed for pressures generated by that cartridge. You will damage the rifle if you do that. You definitely don't want to just run regular 7.5 Swiss inside of this thing. There are people online who will tell you that they run 7.5 Swiss brass that has been undercharged. A lot of people I have heard will tell you to essentially use 3040 Krag load data for loading your 7.5 by 53.5. I apologize if I get any nomenclatures wrong. There's a lot of numbers here that I have to be sure to essentially memorize. But a lot of people will just use regular 7.5 Swiss brass loaded to 3040 Krag pressures to run through these rifles, and supposedly that works pretty well. Since I'm a reloader and I have all the reloading stuff, I went ahead and I trimmed myself down some regular 7.5 Swiss brass down to 53.5 millimeters. This way I don't have to force anything inside of the chamber of this rifle. And rather than load to 3040 specs, I'm going to be loading to 3030 specs. 3040 versus 3030, 3030 is going to be a little bit less power, a little less pressure. I get a little bit more brass life. I'm not made of money and I need my brass to go as long as possible. I don't have much 7.5 Swiss brass either, so I need it to go as long as possible. Alright, so this right here is their 1889 designed rifle. The rear sight is definitely an indicator of an older design. It has just these huge old sight protector wings that was very common during this era. Where they were transitioning from black powder to smokeless powder. We have a enormous magazine capacity for the time period. Most of the rifles that were around during this time, they had anywhere from a 5-shot to an 8-shot rifle if you count the Lebel. This right here has a 12-shot magazine, and it is an external mag, meaning you can remove it and put a new mag in if you felt like it. This right here is a magazine cutoff, very popular of the time. This way you can cut off your magazine, and that determines whether or not ammunition is going to feed from your magazine into your chamber, or if you're going to just sit there and single load the rifle. Much like your other Schmidt-Ruben designs, this is a straight pull rifle, meaning all you do is you pull the bolt straight back. That makes a lot of people uncomfortable until they realize how it works. There is a locking system in this. It's not just a solid bolt moving back and forward like, say, a straight blowback design would be. This right here has a locking system and a cam system. Like, whenever this bolt is closing in battery, that camming system turns those locking lugs into the locking recess inside the receiver, and that prevents the bolt from flying back into your face. There are some rifles out there where if they are put together, incorrectly, you might have some issues, like those old Ross rifles. So definitely could have some issues with this, but these rifles here have absolutely zero problem with that. The locking lugs on this thing, they are in a different position than the other Schmidt-Ruben rifles. They're actually at the rear of the bolt. I'm not sure how well you guys can see this here, but they're at the rear of the bolt versus the 1911 pattern, which are actually in the middle of the bolt, and then the K31 pattern, which are actually at the front of the bolt. These right here, these bolts, they are massive. They are heavily overbuilt. This right here is a stupidly large bolt, even for the time period that we are talking about here. But, I mean, we're getting into the realm of people, you know, experimenting with smokeless powder. No one really knows how powerful it's going to be, how much pressure it's going to take, etc., etc. This is just one of those examples of an overbuilt rifle because they didn't really know what to expect. The rifle itself appears to be in pretty good shape. I'm not seeing anything real significantly cosmetically wrong with it. We do have a little ding scuff mark right there. That's not a big deal. Plenty of proof marks, serial numbers. Our sight back here, this sight, I think the minimum zero on these is 300 yards or meters. I can't remember which, probably meters, considering that this right here is a European rifle, but I don't know what they used back whenever the rifle was being designed and made. But these right here, with that 300 yard minimum zero, this is probably going to shoot high at the 100 or, you know, closer yards that I'm going to be shooting this rifle at. That is one of the reasons why I am doing a 30-30 load data for this cartridge, because that slower moving bullet does tend to hit lower at your aim point. I've discovered that whenever I load my rifles, if I undercharge them any amount, it brings that point of impact down on your point of aim. So maybe I will have a more appropriate point of aim, and since I'm shooting, you know, at steel at 100 yards, that load data is going to be absolutely fine. It does look like this rifle has a complete upper handguard. I know sometimes on these rifles there will be missing some wood. Front sight looks, well, pretty gosh darn good. Looks like your standard front sight. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet that's probably the same style of front sight used on your 1911 rifles. The bore on this thing looked absolutely excellent. The rifling inside of it was a little bit shallower than I would come to expect. I'll have to do some research on it and see if maybe the rifling was designed for black powder as opposed to smokeless powder. Not 100% sure on that one. Like I said, I'll just have to research that. Alright, up next, I'm probably going to break out some 7.5 Swiss, trim it down, load it up, take it to the range. That's probably going to be another episode because I don't have access to the gun range as of right now. It is scaldingly hot outside and I have to be somewhere in an hour, but I wanted to go ahead and put this video up. So thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. And you guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. See you on the next episode. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Gary. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.